The autumn months of September, October, and November can be truly amazing in Yosemite National Park. The summer crowds have largely disappeared, the valley is dramatically quieter, especially on weekdays, and at times it can seem like you have the valley all to yourself. The light in the valley is also different as the sun begins to head further toward the south, lighting up El Capitan and the surrounding peaks in the late afternoon hours. But if you are coming to Yosemite to specifically photograph the fall colors in the valley, there are some things you should be aware of while you are planning your trip. One of the advantages in making the trip earlier in autumn is that the upper elevation roads through Tioga Pass and Glacier Point are usually open well into September and sometimes into October or even early November, depending on how long it takes for the first big snowstorm to arrive. If you are hoping to see some wildlife during your visit, your chances improve greatly after the summer crowds have left the valley. The valley bears will usually be pretty busy trying to pack on some extra weight as winter approaches, and deer can often be found grazing in the valley meadows. There are some disadvantages to visiting earlier in autumn. First of all, the colors in the valley change at a much slower rate compared to other locations in the Sierra Nevada range. While the aspens up above Bishop Creek might be changing in late September, the trees in Yosemite Valley usually don't get going until late October or early November. Secondly, depending on the year, it's not unusual for both Yosemite and Bridal Veil Falls to go completely dry during September and early October, depending on when the first big storm of the season arrives. If they are not completely dry, the water level is definitely lower than what you would typically find in May or June as the temperatures warm on the snow above. Additionally, the water levels in the Merced River drop to their lowest of the year, which can be an advantage if you're looking for less movement in the water for reflections of fall colors. Keeping all this in mind, I usually head to Yosemite in early November, hoping to get fall colors, and if I'm really lucky, I might get some rain or even some early snow.
Yeah, I'd say the oaks are 40%, and because you have these trees that are still green, some of them are just green. Bridal Veil is still going, even though we haven't had like a major rainstorm. So we had enough snowpack to just kind of keep that going, I guess. And there's a little trickle coming over Yosemite Fall, so it'll look really nice for a minute. And then you go around a corner and you get all the smoke. It's a shame because these trees are really nice right in here. These are at peak. And there's a little bit of green. But that little grove right in front of Bridal Veil is ready to go. They're doing some kind of controlled burn here in the valley. Like, I think that may be it, but it's this whole area right at the cutoff. Back to El Cap.
One of the more recent challenges that you should be aware of is that the National Park Service is continuing to do controlled burns in the valley in order to deal with the high number of trees that have been destroyed by the bark beetle infestation that began several years ago. With lower temperatures, less visitors, and the occasional chance of rain, autumn is the ideal time for these controlled burns. But depending on the day, they can really mess with your plans, especially if you are a photographer. Fortunately, the Park Service usually only targets a couple of key spots per day, so if you're hiking elsewhere in the valley, you should be unaffected. But if you're hoping for a nice view of the valley west of the burn area, the smoke definitely has the potential to ruin your shots. It can also be unhealthy for you to remain downwind of the fires for an extended period of time, so when you arrive, be sure to check to see if controlled burns are taking place, and be sure to plan accordingly. Challenges aside, if you are hoping for some peace and quiet and to be able to walk along the Merced River in Yosemite Valley without meeting other visitors for hours at a time, it would be hard to beat a weekday in autumn, especially in late October or early November.
I came down along the river, parked just on the other side of the Bahona Bridge. I've just been walking this trail looking for angles of El Cap in the river. So from down here, I think everything's behind the trees. There's one potential corner, but trees are just in front of the mountain too much. So I think the place I'm looking for is a little bit further up the valley before you get to the turnoff to go to Bridalveil. Walls of yellow lawn. Still some greens up here, little pockets. Most of it's just yellow along the river, along the Merced. I'm frustrated with the color on this video, but look at this. Got some reds up here too. Very tiny trickle coming down from Bridalveil. Gonna get my fall shot first, and then I might come back and just keep shooting in here for a little bit. See if I get some nice wet road shots. It's raining. I can't believe it's raining. I can't believe it's raining.
My favorite times in the valley during autumn have been when storms move in, bringing wet roads, brighter colors on the trees, and more atmosphere to the valley. On one occasion, I caught a rare early snowstorm in November, which bridged the gap between the seasons.
Sunday morning up here, Yosemite National Park. Got the cables on the tires. Nice and easy. It's snowing since about 2 o'clock this morning.
Over the many years that I've shot Yosemite Valley in autumn, the last day of shooting always arrives too soon, bringing the 6-hour drive back to Orange County. If you are planning to visit Yosemite this autumn and are hoping to catch some fall colors in the park, be sure to keep an eye on the weather forecast and check the Yosemite webcams on the National Park website linked in the description below. A good resource to check before visiting is CaliforniaColor.com, which includes most of the Sierras during autumn with weekly color reports. If you know of other resources, please let us know in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to check out both the winter and spring episodes linked in the video and also in the description below. Before ending this episode, here are some of my favorite photos from my time spent shooting in Yosemite Valley in autumn.